Hello, I'm Adam, hailing from partsFUNknown, and welcome to this month's No Rolls Barred One-Shot, what we're doing to keep the No Rolls Barred lights on until the world gets back to normal and we can get on with Season 2. This one-shot takes place in a world of Caped Crusaders. Now, as usual, No Rolls Barred is based on an existing system designed by Nathan D. Powerletta called Worldwide Wrestling. Check out a link in the description for more information about his work. So now, without further ado, take it up and away, Tom.
Hello and welcome back to CBW, where the big boys are super boys. I'm Tom, head of publishing here at CBW, and these are our players.
Hi, I'm Laurie. I'm playing the Library Man, who is the golden boy.
Hello, I'm Adam. I'm playing the Puzzler, who is the clown.
Hello, I am Luke. I play Dr. David Danner, the Giant.
Hi, I'm Ollie. Guess who I'm playing? I'm playing Rick Thunder again. I'm a babyface, and I'm a high flyer.
Hi, I'm Lolo Brow, and I'm playing Greta Morph, the monster.
Right, let's do a fight. For the last century, the people of the world have been looking to the skies, gazing up, and away, as shining symbols of virtue collide in combat with malign monstrosities of the vilest villainy, protecting the planet from certain doom. Meanwhile, mortal men and women don masks and grab gadgets to keep the shops and sidewalks safe from a rogues gallery of wrongdoers and reprobates, preying on the public to further their own nefarious needs. And far off, in remote galaxies and eldritch realities, the battle of good and evil continues as stellar forces struggle amongst the stars themselves. Now, deep below the streets of the shining city of Grapopolis, a clandestine clash of capes and criminals commences, all under the sinister supervision of a malevolent mastermind. Watch as metahuman meatheads melee for money, brawl bad guys into the balled fists of justice, and dupe dashing do-gooders into their deadly designs. Prepare to be astonished at the spectacular exploits found only in the pulse-pounding pages of CBW. Marvel at the amazing action of Comic Book Warriors! Yeah! Welcome, everyone, to Comic Book Warriors, and welcome to a special issue of Super Scrap. Prepare yourselves as these heroic and heinous heavyweights clash inside and outside the ropes in the name of ideals, injustice, and identity. Our story begins in the arena itself, a large quadrilateral battleground surrounded on all sides by a grid of heavy steel ropes that reaches dozens of feet up and over the stadium floor. The metal crackles intermittently with a high-voltage charge, as outside these barriers an audience of the most elite and amoral of Grapopolis' citizens cheer and clap. At one end of the arena, a hinged section of steel swings open to reveal a metallic ramp leading deeper into the complex that the Super Scrap is built within. A voice rings in clear tones from the announce system. Making his way to the stage, hailing from Boston, Massachusetts, the Giant, the Beast, the preposterous outrage, Frenzy!
Boo.
A
Boo?
mild-mannered looking scientist is wheeled out onto the stage in a gurney, his hands strapped to the gurney itself, his body strapped. He looks sad, he looks despondent as 5 guys roll this gurney down the ramp, shocking him every now and again with like cattle prod things. And they roll him down and they set him up, giving him a couple more little jabs, a couple of jabs with the cattle prods. And then slowly and gingerly, they unhook the straps and let this mild-mannered man drop down to the floor to his knees, despondent and broken and slightly afraid.
Making their way to the stage, hailing from somewhere in Europe, a Simulcate. Stepping out from the doorway at the top of the ramp, you see a large, muscular, heavy-built woman. Her whole skin is a very deep, dark, kind of almost ambery tan color. Her hair, a color which matches the skin perfectly. She's wearing a simple pair of lace-up boots, a wrestling two-piece, and gloves in each hand. She steps to the top of the ramp, looks down at you, and then takes one glove off one hand and one glove off the other, lowers herself down to one knee, places a hand on the metal ramp, and the moment she does, the polished, heavy-duty steel of the ramp spreads up and across her fingers, up her arm, up across her entire body until her entire skin is covered in hard, metallic, impenetrable steel. She clangs her fists together, smiles at you from teeth that glisten with metallic chrome, winks with a metallic eye, and then just starts pounding, clang, 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 straight down the ramp towards you, immediately launching into one of her signature moves, the stinging metal, which is basically a spear, and lunges at you. What are you doing?
I am doing nothing. I'm just trying to protect myself as much as possible.
In what way?
And trying to cower away.
Are you just going to try and ball up and take the hit?
Just try and ball up and take the hit, and then hopefully after that, I'm then going to try and run.
Okay, so basically, Dr. David Danner, mild-mannered, 50-pound soaking wet scientist, is just going to try and absorb the damage of like a 6'5", muscle-bound, solid steel powerhouse.
I'm very, very afraid.
So roll on David Danner's power.
I believe we agreed that was -1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That'll be 4.
That'll be
actually
4.
5.
There is a sickening crunch as this solid steel body collides with the disappointing frame of Dr. David Danner. Something cracks inside you. You don't know what. The force of the impact knocks you back Goldberg style about 3 or 4 feet across the arena, and you skid across the ground, wheezing. Simulcate stretches her arms and legs. That sort of makes a kind of metal groaning sound like Talos and Jason and the Argonauts. And then she stands, squats, and seems to get ready to do something else. What are you doing?
I'm going to try and just run. Just try and get out of harm's way.
So right now you are hurt and you are collapsed on the floor. So you can make a. You can either try and stand up or try and crawl. What do you want to do?
I'm going to try and crawl.
Okay, that's going to be another power roll.
Oh, it's 3.
Squatting down into a kind of ball shape, bending down on her haunches so her butt's almost touching her heels. Simulcate goes for another of her signature moves, the pile on, and basically leaps up into a standing splash, and crunch, her whole heavy frame lands on top of you once again. Something else goes. Your flimsily repaired glasses, that masking tape just gives way, man. Way to this woman's powerful frame. And she just looks you in the eye, smiles again, with your teeth and says, come on, I thought you were going to show me your mettle.
This is my gimmick.
I have no time for your puns. Leave me at be. I just want to be left alone.
I love that your dice rolls are puny. That's so great.
Steal yourself for this then. Simply raises an arm back and goes to punch you in the jaw. What are you doing?
An attempt at ducking.
That can be a work roll.
Also -1. And it's again 3.
Well, 3 is the number of teeth she knocks out with a hard cross as it connects across your jaw. These 3 very disappointing teeth are flung across the arena and scatter and clatter across the mat. She moves into kind of like an MMA mount position at this point and cracks her knuckles again with another groaning metallic creak. What are you doing?
I'm begging for mercy.
You need some iron in your blood. And she just goes back for another punch, this time with a right hand across the other side of your jaw. What are you doing?
I'm going to attempt to get out of the way.
How are you going to attempt to get out of the way?
ducking.
That's another work roll.
It went so well the last
It's been
time.
unsuccessful.
How
But I would-
unsuccessful?
At a 6. Could I possibly use one of my re-rolls?
Which reroll would you like to use?
Oh, I'm so afraid I don't want to use the character re-roll. I fear it's my only option. I'm going to die.
Winding up that punch.
And that would be a hard 13.
Okay, talk us through what happens, please, Dr. David.
As the punch winds up, Dana collapses to his knees. It starts to convulse and shake, his body coursing with anger, with fear. Oh. No, not again. His form grows 6 feet in size. His shirt rips. A ginormous form of the man once known as David Danner stands tall above puny metal. I feel uncontrollable rage and the urge to smash.
Yay!
What are you doing, Frenzy?
So as the punch throws towards, and to grab the hand, and I just start to crush this apparently impenetrable metal, and crush it with my hand. Oh, and then I am going to punch it back in her own face.
So on your 13, that connects beautifully. There is a sort of a discordant clang as her own fist connects with her own face, indenting her nose slightly into a concave shape as she stumbles back a few steps, tries to maintain her balance. That look of sort of cocky swagger disappears, and a look of confusion and surprise and fear is all you can see in her eyes now as she backs away. She looks around and, knowing she's physically outmatched, makes a run for the side of the arena.
Time. I'm going to charge at this puny insect and jump upon them to just slam them to the ground.
Okay, that is going to be a power roll.
Yes, it is. Power. And it is a hard success.
Oh my god!
Whoa!
And as I go to the mount, I am raining down unstoppable punches.
Talk us through that hard success, man. Talk us through the fury of Frenzy.
So it's just this ginormous hulking mass of muscle and just unstoppable, uncontrollable rage stomps forward as fast as... You don't expect it to be as fast as it is, but it's fast. And he jumps as high into the air as you can imagine, grabs this metallic idiot and slams her to the floor, and then just starts wailing down punch after punch after punch.
The clang, clang, clang. With every punch, another massive meat hook-sized dent is made inside the body of Assimilcate. And after maybe a dozen or so punches, her screams of pain and yells of agony and metallic groans of despair suddenly cut out, and all that's left beneath your fist now is just is a mangled mess of bent steel. And still you're punching and screaming. What are you doing?
I'm going to grab her by the foot, and I'm going to throw her as hard as I can and as far as she'll go.
Okay, make a power roll.
Oh, 10.
Okay.
So just grabbing her by the foot and just swinging her around my head. And how far is sort of like, what's the furthest point I can throw her?
Directly upwards, I would say. It's at least 20 feet or more.
Sounds perfect. Woof.
Okay.
flying up as high as I can into the air.
Like these incredible muscles of yours bulge as you fling this mangled lump of metal up into the air. It shoots straight to the very top of the arena, collides with the metal grid that encases the Super Clash battleground. And as soon as it does, that electric charge buzzes through it and buzzes through the metal of the simulcate. There's now a kind of buzzing electric stream of agony as the crumpled metallic form combines with the electricity around the arena and then just dissipates into nothing. Your winner, the incredulous Bulk Frenzy! The crowd cheer like crazy. They lose their shit for this display of pure animal ferocity. And as they do, another sound emits from the speakers. It is a soft, almost melodic tone, so pleasing and calming and gentle, and it permeates your ears, it permeates your body and your muscles, and you feel the rage just disappear and disappear. And as the tone comes to a close, all that is left in the arena is the frightened and confused form of Dr. David Danner. And as you stand there frightened and confused, the dull green chrome forms of the ring droids approach you from the ramp and lead you back away into the deeper parts of this complex. Yeah, the arena goes dark for a small period of time, and you hear the sound of machinery and electronics and parts moving. And when the lights emerge once again, and the amoral elite of Crapopolis have got their champagne flutes and their various forms of caviar and are ready for the next event, waiting, ready, in the ring, hailing from Puzzlevania, Pennsylvania, the Puzzler. Adam, please tell us what we see in the ring now the lights have come up.
You see, slightly off to one side of this arena, a perspex box in which stands the Puzzler. He is clad head to toe in black and white. He has puzzle pieces on his gloves, a puzzle piece hat. He wears a fancy jacket that's kind of gridded like a crossword with a little puzzle piece on the lapel. He stands holding a staff with a little puzzle piece on top. He super likes puzzles, guys. Get on board. The rest of the arena is decked out like a chessboard. And he stands and strikes his most intelligent-looking pose as he waits for his arch nemesis.
Making his way to the ring, hailing from Little Glossary, New York, the Library Man.
A huge scroll unfolds over the entrance ramp. On it, it just says, Library Man! And bursting through on one of those ladders that they use to get books down, going sideways along, is the Library Man. On the way, he rearranges all the signs in the crowd into alphabetical order. And as he steps down off the ladder when it reaches the ring, the first thing you see, a pair of sensible shoes, blue plaid slacks, a white shirt, rippling muscles underneath. In one large manly hand is clutched a book. You can see that it's the Dummy's Guide to Making an Entrance. His biceps bulge as he raises it to his face, the spectacles perched on the edge of his nose, framing his face, which is all cheekbones and handsomeness. The glasses are framing it just as much as his immaculate hairstyle, which is somehow both sensible and sexy. He scratches at his chiseled square jaw as he considers the final few paragraphs of the book. He slams it shut with a flourish, and as he does so, an unnatural gust of wind blows up his cape, which is made of cardigan material.
How do you know about my Pornhub algorithm?
Who doesn't like a
Well,
librarian?
well, library man, my perennial problem solver. Are you ready for the latest chapter in this game of cat and mouse we play?
Who are you?
What do you mean, who am I? I am your arch nemesis, the Moriarty to your homes, the chalk to your cheese. I am the Prince of Puzzles, the Archduke of Amazement, the Count of Confusion. I am Brian Fuddle, the Puzzler.
I'm terribly sorry. I have no idea who you are.
What do you mean you've never heard of me? You've solved literally every single one of my crimes. No other superhero has fooled me apart from you. We're locked in a titanic, in a cerebral battle to the death.
Arch nemesis.
Yes.
My arch nemesis is Kindle, maybe Netflix, something like that. That's the sort of things that are taking people away from libraries. I've never seen you in my life.
You're just trying to hurt me now, library man, and I'm not too proud to admit it's working. That's why I've arranged for you a series of fiendish little traps to test that intellect of yours and prove once and for all that I am the intellectual superior. I push a big red button, zoop, and there. On the chessboard suddenly is a game of chess mid-play, but all of the pieces are hulking, wrestling-type warriors, these huge mechanical beasts standing in a game that is almost done. You can see some pieces are off the board, but there is an arrangement of pieces. He said, this game is a mere few moves away from victory. You have 5 moves in which to achieve victory. 5 moves of doom. Yes, that's where I was going, Oliver. 5 moves. If you make one mistake, then you will be checkmated. And I press another button and a machine grabs him and places him on one of the spaces and puts a little crown on his head. Your move, library man.
Listen here, puzzle person.
My name is the Puzzler. I'm wearing
whatever you
puzzle
are.
pieces. Literally, everything about me screams puzzle. If you'd never met me before, the first thing you would guess would be the Puzzler, because it's my fucking branding.
That may be, Puzzle Man, but justice for you, it seems, like the books you borrowed from the Puzzlevania library back in 1995, is long overdue. I am... what's ahead of me on this chessboard?
So you have a bishop up the board. Oh, God, I did not plan this out visually. Let's say 2 rooks are left on the board, 1 bishop, the queen, of course, and the king. And 1 knight.
Okay.
Sure, make of that what you will.
Yeah, make of that what you will. I am going to... I'm just going to retreat into myself for a second. And there's just a moment of quiet as the puzzle man closes his eyes. Sorry, as the library man closes his eyes.
What is he doing?
And has a minor think.
What's going on?
Okay, so you can roll and look to see how well this goes.
That's a 8.
Oh, shit.
Go for it, man.
Okay, so coming out of it, I go, I completely understand chess now. I am going to make a perfect chess move and take the rook. The only one that I'm guessing this would be the only one that is out of position. This is the only thing that is not going to put me at checkmate.
Absolutely, you can keep going. You can keep going.
Okay, cool.
And
So
that's
I
success.
am moving up into this space. What else was on the board? There was a knight.
1 knight, 1 bishop, another rook, and the king.
Okay, I am going, and they're sort of mechanical, right?
Yeah, they're kind of like hulking, steam-powered monstrosities.
Okay, I'm going to retreat into myself once more, and I just think.
What's he doing? This is
And-
not how this was supposed to go.
Because it's the same puzzle, your 8 will stand for this too.
Okay,
You've
cool.
got what you need.
Fine. So I am actually going to walk up to the knight, and I'm rather than taking the position, I'm going to reach behind it to a switch and turn that switch off.
Just keep going, man. That's a success. Just take us through how you solve this puzzle.
So I turn that one off. I then turn the next one against the rest of them. The queen takes the king.
No.
And that's how the puzzle ends.
This isn't chess! You cheated! Cheated! Right, well, let's see you cheat your way out of this one, library man. I press another button. The chessboard disappears, and suddenly from underneath his feet erupts out of the floor a huge conveyor belt leading into a gigantic machine. The library man is strapped down to the conveyor belt with several kind of metallic tentacles he's held in place, and he sees the conveyor belt kind of moving into this machine. Inside the machine is a huge thing slamming down. Boom, boom, boom. And you can see just sort of that the piece itself is, it cuts out puzzles. Basically, you feed the cardboard in, it slams down, and it basically has cut out all the puzzle pieces. It says, well, you may have defeated my king and all of his horses, but after you've succumbed to this puzzle trap, no one will be able to put you back together again.
Be ready, puzzle dude, because I'm about to throw the book at you. And as the thing is taking me in, again, I just close my eyes and have a momentary think.
What's he doing?
Roll and look for that.
That is a 10.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Take us through how you solve it.
As this is going, there's a moment where I begin to sort of twist and turn my body, and I've worked slightly loose of my bonds. As the puzzle piece bit slams down, I bend my body, contorting into the perfect shape for it to just miss me. And I come out the other side unscathed.
You've used puzzles against me, library man. Well, Webster's dictionary defines the verb buffalo as to deceive, to outwit, or to baffle. With that being said, presses a large button on a remote control, and out comes this giant mechanical buffalo. You're going to have to fight my amazing pet. Good luck.
I'll find a buffalo then. Okay, fine.
Okay, so this buffalo comes just steaming towards you. Clang, 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 clang. This first one is going to have to be a power roll, I'm afraid.
That's fine. That has not gone well. That's a 6.
The buffalo collides its metallic body with your still like rock solid Fabio-esque frame. And now you are basically grabbed onto the horns of this thing as it charges you around the arena, trying to shake you off like a buck and bronco. What are you doing?
I'm going to retreat into myself once more, have this moment of calm, and see what comes out.
Okay, that's another look roll.
That is a 10 again.
Take us through it.
Okay, so from the front of the horns, I managed to flip over onto the back, and as this begins to buck like a bronco, I am in perfect form for bronco riding. This buffalo, I'm beginning to break it as I'm whispering sweet nothings in its ear, trying to break this buffalo like a horse. It begins to calm, and suddenly your metallic buffalo is mine. I stand in the center of the ring, atop the metallic buffalo, and I say, I'm a library man, puzzle fella. We restore order. Prepare to be Dewey decimated.
Well, you may have left me flum-oxed, library man, but well, I don't have another puzzle. Hang on, I really thought the buffalo would do it. Right, he just reaches into his pocket and pulls out a newspaper with a crossword in it. He opens a hatch in his Perspex box, throws it at library man, saying, "Do that crossword, or I'll shoot you with this gun." Yes.
I walk up to the puzzler, and I pull out a book, and I begin to read it. The library man pulled out his book to read a pertinent passage he thought the puzzle dude would like. He licked his finger to turn the page, both seductively and purposefully. He could tell that the members of the audience were wet with anticipation. But it was a cunning distraction, and he just hit the puzzler in the face with the book.
Ah!
Your book collides with the perspex exterior of this safe box the puzzler is in, but your powerful Mills and Boone-esque muscles are strong enough to crack the perspex enough that something does hit the puzzler's face and send him staggering to the back of his small safe box. You've managed to hurt him, but he is still safe inside it. Puzzler, what are you doing?
Devastating.
That's just what I thought. All brawn and no brain. By resorting to fisticuffs, you've forfeited the argument, is what you've done, library man. You may have won this day with your jockish, flabbergastly strength, but I'll be back. Oh, I'll be back, and this time you will remember my name. And I press a final button. A panel opens behind me, and I scarper away into the night.
Lovely stuff. Your winner, the library man! And the audience erupt in cheers, and several people swoon at the sight of you flexing and waving.
Yeah, woo! Woo, woo, woo!
Swoon, swoon!
That jigsaw fella was very weird.
And on that belittling casual insult, the action shifts to backstage, where we see a haggard, bruised, battered, and exhausted Dr. David Danner sitting in the tiny cell where he is forced to wait in between the matches he is placed into. And David's mind casts back to the most fateful day in his life. David, please tell us what happened on that day.
As a young man, David Danner was considered to be one of the brightest minds in the world. A man who there was no mathematical equation he couldn't solve, no scientific problem he couldn't unscience. He was a genius. The smartest man in the world, one of his professors once said. He's written many papers. He has published many a book. He was renowned for his smarts and intelligence. But the one thing that he could never quite work out was why these meta-human beings were not using their powers for good to save and fix and improve. And so, perhaps against his better judgment, he began to work on a way to create the perfect meta-human, the perfect hero. He toiled away night after night. We see, him in his lab, looking at papers, writing equations on windows. That's what smart people do. And he mixing things into beakers, turning on Bunsen burners, and he toiled night after night after night, never getting any sleep, drinking coffee, injecting coffee, any way that he could just stay awake so we could just work just one more hour. And Eureka, he'd figured it out. He'd worked it out. And he looked at this vial in his hand, filled with a blue liquid that he was certain, he was so sure was going to create the perfect creature, the perfect hero. But because he's been working on this on his own, there was no one to test it on apart from himself. And so late one night, when everyone had left, Dr. David Danner was in his laboratory and he injected himself with this serum. But it didn't work. And he created a monster, this monstrosity that raged throughout Boston, Massachusetts, where he had gone to study, which is why he doesn't have a Boston accent. And Harvard, it's the only thing I could do. He picked that up. This monstrosity, but he found himself in the middle of a desert, disheveled, confused, alone, more alone than he'd ever previously been. What he walked back to in Boston was carnage, a city that had been destroyed and wiped out. There were just stories, rumors of this hulking creature that had run rampant. And he had these flashbacks, these painful flashbacks in his head that it was him. But it couldn't have been. I'm not Dr. Danner. No, it couldn't have been. And so Dr. David Danner has been spending the rest of his life trying to work out what went wrong. Why he cannot undo what has been done. And he sits alone in this cell now. He's put back on his cardigan. He's adjusted his glasses. He can't bear the thought of staring at the rags that the frenzy wears. They have so horribly and fiendishly called him that he likes to try and feel as human as possible. So he stares at himself and he adjusts his tie, tries to fix his glasses, put on his favorite cardigan, and just think, where did he go wrong?
And deep beneath the layers of superficial civility of Dr. Danner's cardigan glasses, deep in the back of his mind, screaming, always screaming in unbridled rage, the voice of the beast, the voice of the animal, the voice of frenzy. And we cut back now to the battleground, empty, devoid of combatants, devoid of blood and damage, a still and quiet place, perhaps a little too still, the kind of still the air is before a storm. And then there's a shimmer, an almost disturbance in the atmosphere itself. And we start to see little tiny pinpricks of orange plasmid energy grow and intersperse and tingle and sparkle and spread, and then whoom, a hole opens in the space-time continuum itself. And please tell us who falls through that hole.
It's Rick Thunder. Danger Zone Rick Thunder. The last thing I remember, I was back in the Old West, chasing Tim Quick, my sworn enemy. Cuts to the intro sequence. Dun, 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 dun. One day, while fighting to protect 90s America from the evil mastermind Red Scare, Rick Thunder and his trusty wingman, Tim Quick, pursued a hostile aircraft to the Bermuda Triangle, where Thunder and his Danger Zone jet flew into space-time anomaly, transporting him to the year 3000. And then the Old West. Now stuck in the future and out of time, Rick and his new best friend, his own sentient Danger Zone jet, which then became the Ranger Zone horse, wrestle to find a way back home. Danger Zone Rick Thunder, Episode 3, A Man Out of Time, appears in text at the bottom of the screen. And then Rick Thunder just looks. Come on, Danger Zone. We've got... Where is Danger Zone?
As Rick Thunder stands alone in the center of the battleground, there is a vroom, 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 shroom. And the hole in space-time itself closes, leaving Rick Thunder alone in the center of the arena. A voice suddenly rings out on the speaker. Making his way to the stage, Apollo Speed. There is a kind of buzzing hum and a humanoid shape of red energy adorned with a kind of gold across the top where the head might be, speeds out from the ramp, out across the stage, and heads straight for you. What are you doing?
Well, I don't know where the hell I am first. I just came through. I was in the Old West a second ago. I'm still trying to figure out where my trusty best friend horse is, Ranger Zone, formerly the Jet, Danger Zone. So I don't even think about it. I just instinctively move.
Okay, so you can make a work roll for that.
That would be with a work 7.
7, just about. Somehow your pilot's instincts kick in just before this sort of closed fist of solid energy whiffs past the side of your cheek, and this blur of movement and light and shoots past you. You look behind again, and all you can really make it is something which seems to have some kind of humanoid form, but it seems to be made at the same time of just pure energy. It's sort of shimmering and buzzing and isn't really staying in any single place at the same time very long. It isn't really consolidating into a specific form, and it just lunges at you again. What are you doing?
I think back to my training as a fighter jet. In a jet right now, if only I had my best friend Jet Danger Zone here with me, I would roll out of the way. So I do a quick barrel roll to the left.
Okay, you can make a work roll for your barrel roll.
That's an 8.
That's an 8 again with uncanny reflexes. Only belonging to perhaps the greatest fighter jet pilot in fictional history. You move out of the way again, and you sort of, as this sort of thing whips past you again, you just sort of feel this sort of sense of energy coming off it. On the opposite side of the arena, this form waits again, like pauses, it sort of buzzes and shimmers on the spot, and starts to shake and shake and shake until it separates into 5 different copies of itself, all identical, all shimmering sort of forms of red and sort of gold adored energy, and they all shoot towards you. This is going to be a hard success needed on this one.
I just jump up because that's where I know I'm safe in the air. If only I had my jet.
Okay, that jump. Ooh, okay.
Oh my god!
What?
It's a critical success.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Okay, so as these 5
Oh, he's not with me, but Danger Zone is in my dice.
So as these shimmering forms of energy collide towards you, moving faster than the human eye, you haven't really been able to perceive them by sight before this. All you've been able to pick up on basically is just this idea of motion, and it's just been your natural instincts that have kept you safe. But as they speed towards you at an incomprehensible velocity, all of a sudden they seem to slow down. In fact, everything seems to slow down. And as you look up at the lights and look out at the cheering people in the audience, they seem to cheer in slow motion, and the lights are moving and blinking in slow motion. You look at yourself and your whole body starts to crackle with purple plasmid space-time energy, and you feel some kind of force spread through your muscles and spread through your bones. Your perception of time seems to slow down to a nanosecond, and you are able to see this shimmering form move much more clearly. It's moving normal speed for you now as you feel your whole body also become lighter as you start to hover slightly across the ground. What are you doing?
Well, I'm having an interior monologue. So in a comic book with a thought bubble, I go, gee, I think my journey through the space-time continuum has made science attached to me. I now have a bit of the speed force from the time tunnel in me. Golly. And then what I do is I just reach forward and wait for each of these members to come towards me, and I flick them away with my super finger.
Yeah, on that critical success, you effortlessly do all that. These things, these figures of speed, believing themselves to be moving imperceptibly quickly, just seem to be moving at a leisurely pace towards you. Flick them away one by one by one, and as each one is flicked away, it dissipates into nothing until the last one collapses against the wall and starts to solidify more as it does. It starts to take more of a recognizable human form. You still can't make out much beyond the shape, but with your new speed perception granted to you by the space-time continuum, you can see a human form behind this. What are you doing?
I'm thinking about the science again, trying to fit in how this all happened in my head. And I think, God, the only thought bubble again, the only way I can get past this unidentified person is to use my need for speed. And I run towards them really fast, and I do a diving, twirling spear, if you can imagine that.
Yes, absolutely. Kind of like a corkscrew spear. Okay, you can roll on work for that for sure.
It's 9.
A 9, that'll do it. If only you could do it in real time. Yeah, your diving corkscrew spear connects with the body of this sort of shimmering red and golden form, and forces it back against the metal grid that surrounds the arena. Like the electricity in it crackles through it. A human voice sort of screams out in pain. You hear, "Ah, I hate you so much," and then disappears in a burst of electrical speed, straight through the grid itself, straight up the ramp and into the back of the complex. A voice rings out over the speakers, "Your winner, the stranger from time!" And the audience erupt in cheers.
A thought bubble comes out of my head. Hey, that voice sounded familiar. No, It couldn't be. I don't have time to think about that anyway. I've got to track down my best buddy in the whole time and space of time and space science. Danger Zone, formerly Ranger Zone, now called Danger Zone again.
And with that, the gate, the door in the arena swings open, revealing the ramp, and allows you to travel with great speed and grace up it, deeper into the complex, in search of your best friend. Okay. We now join the library man, sitting in a very sparsely but tastefully decorated waiting room somewhere in the complex, where combatants are allowed to relax, rest, enjoy some light refreshments in between the battles. As you sit there, stoically, peacefully and silently, a look of calm serenity on your face as you disappear deeper into yourself. Tell us where we find ourselves and where the library man finds himself now.
So this almost works like astral projection. The library man, a figure of the library man, steps out from the body of the library man, and it zooms off through the building, through the walls, up over the earth. You can see the earth glimmering in the distance, past the moon, past Venus, past the galaxy, everything getting smaller and smaller, more and more of the sort of the plethora of the cosmic world opening up before him, until we find at the edge of the universe this cluster of planetoids and energy, and it looks like DNA in motion. His form flies in and lands, and you can see that across the sort of surface of all of these planetoids and across the sort of weird energy links that bind them all together are shelves full of books. We've arrived at the repository of cosmic cognizance. The library man steps forward and says, "I'm here to return a book."
The shelves themselves are constructed of some unknown and unthinkable material, arranged in impossible angles, shift and change, and a little space appears. A little gap just manifests in between two books, allowing you to return the book and any other books that you borrowed from the library in order to outwit the puzzler in your last match.
So these sort of appear as spectral shapes in my hand. It's a sense and circuitry which I use to diffuse the chess pieces. There's the Houdini How Do It, which is a book on escapology that I used to get out of the machine that was going to crush me. And I just put these back on the shelves, and all is in order in the library once again.
And there is something specifically you are here to research, something you do want to find out.
So I'm going to go to. I'm going to walk up to reception and ding the bell.
Okay, there is a very simple reception desk, again made out of an almost kind of wet cosmic stone. There is nothing behind the desk except endless infinity, but there is one little brass ring for attention bell in the center. And as you ding it, a door starts to materialize in the cosmos behind the reception, and written on the glass transom of the door, simply the words, "The Librarian."
"Librarian, I need your help."
There is a sound as the doorknob turns, and a kind of interstellar hum as the door swings backwards. And behind the door, behind the frame, what you see for now are just the depths of infinity.
I'm going to step through the door.
As you step through the door, it closes again behind you with that same cosmic hum, and the Steve Dicto-esque swirls and angles of infinity solidify and form into a old, almost Victorian style drawing room with a large fireplace and a large comfortable armchair, a plush chaise longue sofa, some small bookshelves with a few volumes on them, a little drinks cabinet, made from polished oak, and just the trappings of classic librarian refinement. And resting on the hearth of the fire is a large cat, a tabby British shorthair, grinning from ear to ear, with very long claws and a great many teeth. That depends a good deal on what you want to know.
Listen here, Cheshire Cat. It's a good form for you, by the way, librarian. Very good. Back there on the planet, I met a man, a sort of jigsaw person, a board games type guy, something to do with Kaplunk or something. I need to find out who he is and what he wants. He said something about me being his nemesis, but I am fully aware that I have far greater things to deal with than this sort of, I don't know, jumped up Connect 4 dude.
Nemesis, And for a brief moment, the form of the Cheshire Cat shimmers into just some mass of cosmic energy tendrils, so inconceivable you have to shield your eyes. And then the shape reforms again. You find yourself looking at a tall, gaunt man with black hair, a thin, hawk-like nose and steady grey eyes, wearing a tweed suit, a frock coat, an ear-flap travelling cap, and smoking an old black pipe. A criminal, eh? Well, crime is common, but logic is rare.
Oh, you might say it's elementary.
Library man. A good detective knows that every task, every interaction, no matter how seemingly banal, has the potential to contain multitudes.
Sure, but what I'm after is a book. Like, I don't know, a phone book or like a sort of birth register, something like that. It's just the Cosmic Cognizance Repository. It's so big, I couldn't possibly go through it all on my own. It'll take me to eternity.
The form shifts again. For a brief moment, you have to shield your eyes from this eldritch brilliance. And as the light reforms, it is now sitting in the armchair with one leg crossed over the other. You find yourself looking at a small man in a three-piece tweed suit. He has he's bald, and bald on top at least, with a ring of white hair on its sides and a neat white beard. So from era to era, one discovers the entire truth.
And that is?
Out of your vulnerabilities will come strength.
Out of my vulnerability will come strength. This is all too much for me, really. I want to just, the way this works is I read the books, I get the powers, I do the good stuff.
Again, the light shifts now, and these tendrils of light swell and become larger and larger and larger until they seem to dwarf the whole room, until the room itself needs to swell to accommodate this mass. And as it solidifies again, you find yourself looking at a colossal leviathan, a huge white whale with a deformed jaw, 3 punctures in his white fluke, and several harpoons embedded in his side. Its huge tail just wafts in the cosmos.
Now, I understand you take forms that I can comprehend, because to look upon your true form would turn one mad. But could you do one with at least like a proper working mouth?
And again, the form shifts, and this time it becomes much, much smaller, until it's consolidates into a sort of human shape and solidifies into the form of a grey-haired, thin old lady with a twinkle in her blue eyes. People with a grudge against the world are always dangerous. It's what's in yourself that makes you happy or unhappy.
The thing is, you're talking in riddles like this bloody, what's his face? The guy, the one from earlier that I said about. Who is he? This is all I want to know.
People are very much alike, really. But fortunately, perhaps, they don't realize it.
This is absolute nonsense, librarian. This is absolute...
The room now shakes heavily. You find yourself knocked off your feet as you feel an almost kind of anger coming now from the the force of the librarian. And this formless old woman now grows taller and taller and taller until you are towered over by the intimidating divine figure of a large woman with bluish-grey eyes and dark hair. She has a fierce expression on her face. She's wearing an armor and a golden helmet, wielding a spear and a shield with the face of the Gorgon on it, with an owl resting on her shoulder. You wish to be called righteous rather than act.
I'm sorry about what I said, but if I feel like this isn't going to go where I want it to go, so I'll go. I'll leave. I'll go and
Bill.
do library manning.
Bill. And the voice softens now. And once again, the form shifts. Bill. And you find yourself looking at a beautiful brunette wearing a strapless corset teddy, a collar, a bow tie, and a pair of bunny ears.
Now this is more like it.
Puts a hand on your shoulder and says, the truth will set you free. But first it'll piss you off. And then with a shake and a big burst of cosmic energy, you are flung out of the librarian's office. The door slams behind you, disappears back into the cosmos. The reception desk dematerializes, and you are left standing alone in the cosmic library with no answers. When it comes to the issue of the puzzler, all you are left with is a great big question. We now return back to the arena. High voltage electricity crackling through the steel, which keeps the combatants contained within this fighting place. And a voice rings out from the speakers. Making her way to the stage, hailing from Thunderberg, Sweden, Greta Moore.
First thing you hear is the deafening scream of, I assume, a pathetic human. The crowd gasps as a leopard walks to the top of the ramp with looks like a man in a suit in the jaws of this beast. The blood is flowing from his assumed ripped throat, and the blood is pouring down the ramp in this beautiful flood of blood, and it's thick and dark. The leopard throws the body to one side, and you realize that they are a CEO of a very, very famous oil company. And the leopard then, with a flash and a wonderful purple poof, turns into a penguin. And then the penguin jumps onto its belly and slides down the blood. All the way down. All the way down. And then as it reaches the bottom of the ramp, quick as a flash, turns into a giraffe and just keels its head over the audience. And it's all very camp for a minute. You've noticed that every creature so far has always had this beautiful, intricate moment of purple. In the leopard, it was its spots. In the penguin, it was its beak. In the giraffe, again, in its beautiful splodges. Now, switches again, turns into a beautiful, beautiful butterfly, so wonderful and glorious, and drops down into the ring, and then poof, again, there reveals a fabulous, proper comic book badass with purple thigh-high boots, a leopard print tight thing, onesie all the way up to the neck, cape, because real super villains have capes, god damn it. It's delicious and wonderful, and dark black lips and purple hair. I couldn't be bothered to dye mine. It's always going to be green, so you're going to have to use your imagination. Okay.
And use our imaginations we shall, as the audience erupts in cheer, despite the fact that the CEO you killed was one of their own. These guys definitely have the appearance of the kind of amoral people who care very little about anything more than the blood sport they're watching and the success that they reap every day.
Yeah.
Making its way to the ring, hailing from deep underground, Project 314. You hear a wet slap, kind of like a noise
Piss
as
off.
this kind of amorphous mass, just a sort of translucent, semi-transparent blob, just shuffles out from between the door frame and slides down the ramp, leaving a kind of trail of some kind of protoplasmic residue on the floor as it makes its way down. It looks at you for a brief moment, or seems to, as a sort of a shape on the top of its mass is slightly smaller and slightly positioned where a head might be. It seems to move towards you and just for a moment shimmer and ripple. And then standing in front of you is a very deformed, very unstable, still translucent kind of peachish coloured, goopy version of yourself, blinking at you with wobbly versions of your own eyes, which keep sort of falling back and forth, up and down, so they don't quite meet in the middle. There's a ding, 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 ding from the bell, and the thing just lunges at you and tries to engulf you in its dripping gelatinous mass. What are you doing?
Well, quick as a bunny, I'm going to turn into a lionfish so that I can crawl inside its what I assume is fluid body, swim around and sting the fuck out of it.
Okay, that is a look roll. That is full-on gimmick.
No, it's fallen behind the cabinet. Full.
If it didn't land on the table, you get to roll again. But if any dice landed on the table, they have to stay. You can only re-roll the ones that fell off.
I'm going to go get another dice because that's going to take too long. One sec. Oh, that's a 10.
Hey!
So talk us through what it looks like now when Gretamorph goes from human form into clownfish form and how she makes her way inside this gelatinous mass.
Well, first thing that happens is that she just has the biggest smile on her face. It is just wonderful and glorious. And she just lifts up her hands, raises an eyebrow, snaps her fingers, and a lovely puff of purple, and then turns in. What she's done is she's timed it perfectly. So as the body lunges towards her, the fish is still like in midair when they've turned into the fish. So it goes straight into the chest. And this fish has obviously got purple stripes.
And as you start stinging, you sort of see the substance of this thing sort of ripple and distort, and it's finding itself harder and harder to sort of keep itself together. It seems to be almost reaching a more liquid state. And then in a moment, it solidifies again, and you find the water around you, or the liquid around you, sort of leaving where you are, drying up slightly. And rather than swimming inside just a mass of gelatinous goop, you now find yourself in the mouth of what seems to be some malformed great white shark as it gnashes down your little lionfish body and tries to swallow you. What are you doing?
Well, I snap my fingers again, and then I'm going to turn into an elephant.
Okay.
Just be big enough to snap that thing open.
You can roll on, it's an elephant, roll on power.
Okay. Oh, that's a +1. Hang on, that's a 8.
An 8. This tiny little lionfish just erupts into a massive purple elephant, and as it does, the substance of this shark just splatters into various pieces and gloops across the entire arena, like splattering across the floor, splattering against the grid. But very quickly, it starts to slide back across the ground and reform again. As it reforms, however, you notice there is one thing distinct from the gelatinous mass of this creature, one thing which is not just this kind of peach-colored goop, a tiny little grey something, a little shining metallic something. But it is soon subsumed in the mass as it takes shape again. And as you remain in elephant shape, it forms now into the shape of a rhino, takes a few steps back, starts tramping its feet back, and then charges towards you. Rhino horn first. What are you doing?
Well, rhino's smaller than an elephant, so I'm just going to button down head first and wait for that gooey little thing to try.
You could, if you want to brace yourself for impact, make a power roll.
Well, that's a 6.
You put your feet down, you brace yourself, you try to take the impact, but this is an incredibly dense rhino. It is still a very powerful creature, and it manages to knock you off your feet enough that it is now pushing you back towards the grid that surrounds the arena. You feel like the metal connect with your back. You feel a sharp jolt of pain as the electrical voltage surges through your body, and you're forced in that electrical moment to return to your human form. You now have the rhino sort of rears back onto its back legs, then stamps its feet down to your left and to your right, and starts to change shape again. What are you doing?
I'm pretty shocked that thing even tried. Right, I'm going to go for a tiny little sparrow. And I'm going to try and fly up and then go beak first into their eye and just burrow in and try and find that lovely shiny thing that you're talking about.
Ooh, I think that's such fine work. I think that might be a work roll. Yeah, you know it.
Snakes!
Hey!
Oh no.
Yeah, you zip into the shape of a sparrow and then splorch straight through the goopy body of this rhino. You find your wings are becoming dampened and moistened by this sort of gelatinous goop, which is just cloying to your form. And the deeper you go, the more it just starts to cloy around you and the more it impedes your speed. It starts to like smear across your eyes to the point you can't really see, but you keep going deeper and deeper and faster. And eventually you find yourself face to face with this little circular device. It's an almost perfect circle. It is giving off these tiny little sparks of electricity, and there is a curved symbol on it in dull green. What are you doing?
Okay. Well, as it's all getting a bit tough for me, I'm a little sparrow, it's not the right shape, so I'm just going to change again. I'm going to go for a naked mole rat, also known as the living testicle. And I'm just going to burrow. I'm going to just get that green thing, and I don't know why it's important, but I'm going to put it in my little teeth, and I'm obviously built for burrowing, so I'm just going to claw my way back out, and I'm going to do it so I'm not just like going back out the way I came. I'm going to go back around like through what I think is the stomach. I want to do as much physical damage as possible on the way out as possible. Teeth, claws, everything.
Richard Gere exit.
So because you're really leaning into that mole rat burrowing, and they are some of the finest burrowers in the animal kingdom, you can roll and look for this.
Thanks. 9.
9. That'll do it. Yeah, you take the charming form of the glorious naked mole rat. You manage to get this little chip wedged, because it's compared to your size, it's still quite large.
Oh, wait. I didn't add, it was look, right?
Yeah.
Oh, 10.
That's a hard success. That's still lovely. Yeah, you managed to get this thing wedged inside your big buck mole rat teeth, and you just start burrowing through the goop. Whereas the goop previously just cloyed and glommed onto your feathers, this time your perfectly smooth, hairless body, it's like water off a duck's back, and you just slide like shit through a goose, I guess, through this body, and eventually erupt out the side of it with a spark of electricity and like a little electrical whine with this little device in your mouth. And as you land in mole rat form on the arena floor with this device inside you, separated from the body of this mass that is known as Project 314, it starts to wobble and bubble, and steam starts to come off it. And for a brief moment, a face appears amidst all of the goop, a face that appears in agony, that for a brief moment turns from a scream into a look of peace, and says in a bubbling, gelatinous voice, "Thank you." And then, just like Senator Kelly in the first X-Men movie, with nothing but liquid goop on the floor of the arena. Your winner, the Greta Moore!
Woo!
The crowd erupted in applause.
Yay!
Everyone's being sick.
And as they cheer, and some of them make hasty trips to the bathroom, very, very briefly, the dull green chrome of the ring droids approach you. One of them comes up to you and says, "Good work. It's time for you to finish the job you started." And they lead you back deeper into the complex. We find ourselves once again backstage in the complex in which Super Clash is built. And we find ourselves in a comfortable room adorned floor to ceiling with puzzles, jigsaw puzzles, classic games of chess and checkers and Othello, elaborate dexterity tests like Jenga, a multitude of brain teasers on every shelf and every surface. And sitting, his head in his hands on a bed, is the puzzler.
In the puzzler's mind, he can hear multitudes of things overlapping on top of each other. He can hear an explosion, and then he can hear a sizzle of acid. Then he can hear a gunshot. Then he can hear jaws biting down on flesh, and it builds and it builds and it builds until he screams at the top of his voice, "Tell me who I am!" He tries to organize his thoughts, and he remembers when he was a baby, being loaded into that shuttle by his parents, being shot off into space before the planet Cryptic exploded, and he landed in Ravensburger, Germany. No, that's something else. No, he grew up in an orphanage. Of course, because his parents were killed by a random puzzle designer, and he swore that he would use that image to spread a crime wave in River. No, that's someone else. Of course, he cast his mind back to Ace Puzzles factory, where he was working as a mild-mannered puzzle designer. He was the puzzle designer, and he just had his designs for this amazing puzzle stolen from him by the boss's entitled son, and they got into a scuffle on the gangway, and he fell into a vat of puzzles, and he remembered bursting out. His real name is not Brian Fuddle. His real name is Peter Puzzler, and he was on a school trip to a puzzle factory when suddenly he felt a bite on his wrist. No, that's someone else. Did he break into Professor Percy Uzzle's house and steal his puzzle suit? No. Did he the pieces? No, his family. That's right, Ben. Uncle is not Uncle Ben. It's Ben. His parents and him and Ben flew into space where they were zapped by cosmic rays, and they were changed in the most puzzling ways. No. Just tell me who I am. You have to know who I am. And he smashes the mirror backstage. And the mirror just smashes, and the shards fall away. What once was whole is now just pieces on the ground. And I try and fit them back together, but I'm cut on the finger, and I look up at the mirror, and there's a shape around my face. The eyes are gone in the mirror, just two holes. And I realize, of course, what he sees. I've been blinded by these puzzles. It's the glasses. That's how he knows. If I take them away, if I blind him, then he'll have no choice but to see me. Tell me who I am. Ingenious. And I start sketching my brand new puzzle.
We return now, once again, to the arena, where after hours of following glimmering glimpses of red and gold energy, after an exhaustive and emotionally draining search, Rick Thunder finds himself once again back in the center of the arena where he started, no closer to finding his best friend, no closer to tracking down his arch nemesis. As he waits in frustration and confusion, the Supertron above the ramp blinks into life. There is, on either side of this image, the two dull green chrome ring droids who help facilitate the goings-on at Super Clash, and standing between them, a shimmering form of red energy with a gold crest atop. The form shimmers and buzzes and hums and solidifies until you find yourself, Rick Thunder, looking into the face of a young, blonde-haired, boyishly handsome man.
Rick Thunder. Who are you, and what have you done with my horse jet?
Don't you recognize your old friend? It is me, Tim Quick. Oh, and he shimmers again in a burst of speed. Should I say, Quick Tim? Yeah.
Oh, it is quick, Tim. I've been through so many time portals and seen so many different versions of you. I didn't recognize you. Plus, that accent is very similar to some other Eastern European characters you do.
Poor Rick Thunder. You and I, we were friends once upon a time. But now you have a new friend, well, not anymore.
Was it you who took my horse, Danger Zone?
The management here at Super Clash were very accommodating to, there's the accent, very accommodating to me when I arrived days before you materialized in the arena. Very accommodating. You see, they just want a good fight, and me, I want you dead. Yes, very accommodating indeed. And then the Supertron blinks back into black. Ready and waiting in the stage, hailing from partsFUNknown, the time traveler, Rick Thunder. And the audience erupt into cheers for you, Rick Thunder, as you stand in the center of the stage, glowing with the purple plasmid energy of the space-time continuum. You're welcome to bust a few moves or poses if you want at this point, or we can keep going. That's lovely. That's lovely. Then you hear a metal clunk of a door unlocking, and the hinged gates that lead to the ramp swing open, and you find yourself looking up into the darkness of the large door that leads into the deeper part of Super Clash. Making his way to the stage, also hailing from partsFUNknown, there's a clang, clang, clang as two incredibly heavy metal feet step out, and the large robotic form of a half robot, half fighter jet leans down underneath the doorway and then spreads his form out on top of the ramp. The Danger Zone!
No.
Clank.
We're done to the
Clank.
Danger Zone.
Clank. Danger Zone stands at the bottom of the ramp, moves his form through the gate again. He's standing in the room with you. He looks at you with his fighter jet robot face. The little sort of ambery pinpricks that we interpret as his eyes blink red and shimmer. Mission: kill Rick Thunder. And he immediately takes a swing for you. His waist sort of goes onto like an axis, and he just tries to swing you with a big rotating lariat straight into you. What are you doing?
I'm begging to Danger Zone. No, don't you recognize me? Is there any part of you in there that still knows me, Danger Zone? So I use my speed to quickly dodge under that punch because I don't want to hurt him, and I go over to the safety of the turnbuckle.
Okay, that's a work roll to dodge.
And it's 10.
That's a 10. Yeah, this heavy fist swings into your direction, but like quick as lightning, you shoot between his legs to the opposite side of the arena, where his body continues to swing on the axis until he's facing you now with his legs facing one way and his body facing another. There's a big sort of metallic chunk, chunk, chunk as his heavy legs move around on that axis. So he's facing you again. He takes a step back, squats a little bit, and then you see bursts of jet energy start to out from beneath his feet, and he rockets towards you. What are you doing?
Well, I know that I used to ride Danger Zone. He used to let me ride him as a jet, as a horse. So I'm going to jump up at the perfect time as he comes to me, and I'm going to land on his back and ride him again.
Okay, that's going to be, because that is so linked to Danger Zone himself, that's a look roll.
What is my look? That makes it 7?
Just about. So Danger Zone rockets towards you, his pointy fighter jet nose almost about to impale your human frame. And at the last moment, in a feat of superhuman speed and pilot-esque agility, you leap, flip onto his back and get a good hold on Danger's back just as he pulls up and starts to fly vertically straight up the side of the arena, straight towards the top of the grid. What are you doing?
Wrestling for control of Danger Zone. I'm trying to use my strength to open the sort of the fighter pilot area, the cockpit, that's what it's called, so I can get in and try and talk to Danger Zone directly.
Okay, that's a power roll to wrench open that cockpit.
Oh no. It's one. An unnatural fail? I don't know what that is.
That's a dirty one, right? Not a critical fail.
Filthy one.
So not a critical fail, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. I'm relieved for you, Rick. You pull and tug at the cockpit of the. You put and tug at that cockpit on top of the jet and try to get your fingers, try to get some purchase underneath the point where the glass meets the metal, but you can't. It's built and designed to keep the pilot safe and inaccessible during high altitude, high velocity flights, and you can't get purchase. Danger Zone veers right to the top of the arena, turns upside down, and then barrel rolls. And on that fail, I'm afraid, knocks you off his back as you start to fall back down towards the arena floor. What are you doing?
I am using my falling momentum into the speed force, and I'm going to run and kind of create a tornado of momentum to trap the jet in, so it gets sucked in, so I can sort of non-lethally disable it.
Okay, that's classic Flash stuff. I love it. Okay, so that's because it's very much tied into your Speed Force abilities. We're going to go on look for that.
Oh no, it's 4.
Oh, reroll, man.
You do have your two rerolls, remember?
Yeah. I'm going to re-roll because I want my best friend to... I want to save him. I want to be back with him because we could be the super duo of this town. Do I get a re-roll?
You got a re-roll, man. Re-roll that roll.
It's so easy to get re-rolls. It's a 6.
Oh.
6. I'm afraid not.
Hard to master.
You start to spin and spin and spin, start to build up this kind of vortex, and as you spin around on the ground and sort of that sort of thin layer of dust that's on the arena floor to sort of maintain friction starts to cough up, and then you sort of start to create this bubbling, pulsing vortex of space-time energy with you as you go. But unfortunately, these powers are new for you, and as the energy starts to surge through your body again in a previously unexperimented way, you just lose control of it, and it dissipates, and for a moment it sputters, and you find yourself stumbling back and moving at, for a moment, normal speed. Danger Zone then, having finished barreling all up in the sky, once again sort of loops around, does a loop-the-loop until its nose is facing straight down towards you, and goes right in for a hard nosedive. Whoom, straight down from the top. What are you doing?
I just try and roll. No, I'm going to stay there, and I'm just going to put out my hands to just stop him, and hopefully it listens to me. I think about moving, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to put my hands up because I love you, Danger Zone. And I believe that there's a little bit in there that loves me still back.
Okay, that's a roll on look if ever I saw one.
Eight.
Just about. Okay, so Danger Zone is rocking down at incredible speed, but you sort of feel the space-time energy course through your body again. You start to see things in slow motion or normal motion. As it rockets down towards you, you see the speed lines whisking past its wings. On an 8, for a brief moment, that sort of red glow of the mind-controlled consciousness of Danger Zone briefly blinks yellow again. And as it does, on the underside of the cockpit, right where the main engine storage is, I guess, I don't know, jets, you for a brief moment with your superhuman reflexes and perception see a little silver disc with a curved symbol in a dull green attached to it, just buzzing little bits of electricity. That Danger Zone's eyes go yellow. At the last moment, Danger Zone veers back up and shoots across the top of you to the other side of the arena, and then reforms back into a more robotic form and lands back on its feet. And then you see those yellow eyes go back to red again. As they go back to red, Danger Zone arms start to retract inside his body. And as they release again, you see these holes, these little kind of circles open up across his chest, just where I guess the pectoral muscles would be on a person. 3 on each side. You hear a rumble and 6 Stinger missiles launch from his chest, heading straight for you.
Thought bubble. I knew there was a little bit of danger zone still in there, and I think it might have something to do with that little spherical device on the side with the curved marking. But no time to think about that now. I've got to avoid these missiles. So what I do is I jump up and I run off of each missile.
Yes.
Yeah.
Towards danger zone. And then I leap off the last one to going for this little device that's controlling him.
Make a work roll to see if you can do that. Mario West
Like it's
level.
+1.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man.
It's I can't do maths. It's 8.
8, okay, just about. Yeah, talk us through them and talk us through you hopping over those missiles.
Yeah. I just jump up and in slow-mo, because the missiles are coming to me sort of in sequence, kind of creating stepping stones so I can run across in slow motion. I bounce off one, the other. They sort of fall away as they do and take out evil members of the audience. And then off the last one, I do a massive leap. Looks like I'm going for Danger Zone's neck, but actually it's a jet, though, a mech jet. I'm going for the bit down at the bottom, and I latch on to the device and start trying to yank it off.
Okay, so make a power roll to tug that device off.
I'm going to tug it hard. 3. No,
3,
1. A filthy 1.
Okay.
Reroll. Yes, I want to reroll because I believe in my friendship. I need to save my buddy.
But you have used your believe in your Danger Zone reroll. The other reroll is do whatever it takes to get back to your own time.
To get back home. Well, I can't get back home without my best friend. I'm not going to leave him here. A good pilot does not leave a man behind. Unless it's Tim Quick, he's a son of a bitch.
I'm really torn, man. I'm very generous with these rerolls, but to be perfectly honest, that just doesn't quite tie into whatever it takes to get back home. That's a love for Danger Zone reroll. Hey, I'm really nice.
This is because I called you out for it on the last reroll.
Is it? We'll never know. It's not. In all seriousness, man, that's a wonderful explanation, but that is full on a believe in your best friend reroll. That's not whatever it takes to get home. Sure. And you try to tug that device off, but it's latched on fast. Like you pull, and for a moment it seems to separate from the surface. It seems to be connected partly by some kind of magnetic force, partly by some kind of actual physical mechanical connection. But it just sort of buzzes back. You sort of buzzes back as it does. You see this sort of little, and as it does, this kind of electrical light just shocks back through Danger Zone's body as his eyes blink from a yellow briefly back to red again. And a little bit of like your sort of Speed Force stuff shimmers over you both, but the eyes are still hard red. Mission, kill, Rick, thunder. And Danger Zone grabs you with both hands and just starts using his mighty mechanical fighter jet robot muscles to crush you. He looks you right in the eye with these glowing red spheres of unseeing obedience. Mission, kill, Rick, thunder. Mission, kill, Rick, thunder. Just starts crushing your body. You feel even with the new powers you've gained by combining slightly with the space-time continuum, you feel like your body and your muscles give way under the force of this mighty metal machine. What are you doing?
I don't know what to do. Danger Zone, I don't want to hurt you, but maybe it's for your own good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start vibrating non-lethally again. I'm going to vibrate using my really fast Speed Force in an attempt to make Danger Zone also vibrate and slowly dislodge the magnetic thing, because I figured out that's how it's connected, science. And I'm going to disrupt the science to make the thing fall off. With the shaking. They do it in DC all the time. Vibration accounts for so much nonsense.
Make that look roll.
8.
Yeah, you start to vibrate and you feel the vibrations in your body start to permeate and move into Danger Zone's body as his grip loosens. His arms start to vibrate and his frame starts to vibrate. And once again, the little tiny circular device attached to his undercarriage starts to vibrate too. You sort of see little sparks of this kind of electromagnetic connection spark off it, and it starts to become looser. Danger Zone's eyes change from yellow to red, from yellow to red, from yellow to red, back again. Kill Rick Thunder, best friend. Kill Rick Thunder. What are you doing?
I'm still vibrating, and I'm using his sort of temporary stalling mind to quickly burst out and dive for the device to punch it off.
Okay, that punch is going to be a power roll.
Punch it off.
Oh, crap. Filthy one again.
Oh, my God.
No.
You lunge for him, and as soon as you lunge out of his arms, the vibration immediately starts to leave his body, and he knocks you back, cracks straight against the surface of the arena. The wind is knocked out of you, like with that powerful blow, and with like your powers almost exhausted with the vibration, you find yourself struggling to connect to the space-time continuum. You find your movements becoming slow and ordinary and sluggish again. Danger Zone lands down on his feet, starts stalking towards you. His eyes are now glaring red, the little thing attached still firmly to his chest. The missiles on his chest start to arm again. One of his hands sort of turns into a nasty looking blade. Mission: kill Rick Thunder.
Well, maybe Rick Thunder had prepared for this all along. Maybe Danger Man has a red star on his head to trick Danger Zone into thinking he's not Rick Thunder, he's Quick Tim Quick.
Okay, that's going to be a roll-on look to pull that off.
What?
3.
Yeah,
He's a
sense.
flawed genius.
Oh,
Yeah, Danger Zone's bladed hand, ever so briefly confused by your appearance, just like grabs the tear off your head, crushes it in his hand into a fine powder, and just kind of sprinkles it with a sort of almost robotically sinister flourish down onto the ground. And the hand sort of reverts once again back into a blade. And you adjust yourself, like your power's waning, all your tricks gone. The only thing lying on the ground on his back right now, staring up at the Danger Zone, is Rick Thunder the Man. Rick Thunder the Man, maybe in the very last moments of his life. What are you doing?
I think of Julie Lovely, season 1 love interest, and how I might never see her again, and how I might die at the hands of my best friend under the control of my worst enemy. And it makes me think, no, I will not give up here. I will free Danger Zone and return to my own time by, again, just going for that damn device.
Damn device again. Okay.
Launch myself. Okay, I'm going to launch myself at it, but I'm going to use the Need for Speed 2, which is where I run round all of the sort of top rope. I keep running round and round and round the ring, kind of like El Phantasmo doing the ring walk, a new school, and I jump off it using all that momentum to do the spinning spear.
Okay, that's a work roll. That's a grand work roll.
Yes. 8.
8. Talk us through that spinning spear. Talk us through the whole thing.
I power up out of the reach of Danger Zone, and I jump up onto the top turnbuckle, and I just run round and round and round and round the ring, which slowly sucks Danger Zone into the middle of the ring, and I leap off of one of them once I build up enough momentum and do a twirling corkscrew spear right into the device that's controlling him.
And yeah, that is just an 8 though, and your powers are waning. So you start to run around the arena. Like some energy picks up. Like there is a sense of it causing Danger Zone to be be drawn towards the center to make him sort of more vulnerable to your attack. You do manage to muster just enough of the space-time force to launch through the air, just as the bladed fist of Danger Zone heads straight for your head. It is inches away from your neck, as in the last moment you grab that device from underneath him, wrench it off, and the second you do, you hear a boom, and the red in Danger Zone's eyes goes gold and yellow. He pauses still for a second, retracts his blade, turns it back into a hand, and reaches it out to you. Rick Thunder, Danger Zone, best friends.
I take the hand and I say, we've been through some weird times together, but friendship is eternal. Let's go and kick Tim Quick's sorry ass.
And on that, you hear a no! And leaping in a blur of red gold speed energy from somewhere high up in the arena comes the form of Tim Quick, collides with both of you. Just in this explosion of red speed energy and like purple plasmid time energy. Like the device falls to the ground. And as the three of you connect, the energy around you starts to spread out and across into Danger Zone and across into Tim Quick and grow larger and larger and larger until the three of you are engulfed once again in this rift in space-time and zoom, disappear from the Super Clash arena, once more lost to time.
Dun, 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 dun.
Your winners, Rick Thunder and the Danger Zone.
Amazing.
Oh, it's sentimental.
Friendship is magic.
We now cut back to backstage, once again into the lonely, sparsely decorated cell where Dr. David Danner struggles with his colossal demons. The door, which has been remained heavily closed since the end of his last match, swings open, and the light from outside casts itself on the wrecked form of Dr. Danner as two dull green chrome ringbots walk in. Dr. Danner, there's something you need to see. And they lead you out, one heavy, strong metal hand on each shoulder, out through your cell, out through the collected cells where the less willing participants of the Super Clash are kept, through the corridors, out, round, through, down the ramp, and back into the ring. They release you from their gentle grip and make their way back into the complex, and you are left alone in the ring with nothing but the audience and the now glimmering light of the Supertron flickering into view. What flickers into view, however, is a security camera footage. It is a security camera that monitors the elevator entrance on the secret sub-basement level where you performed your experiments. And as that elevator door opens, Lo, can you please tell us who steps out?
She is very unassuming, older woman, wearing a suit, and you actually recognize them. They are a wife of one of your fellow scientists, and they're just dropping off whatever they need to drop off. You notice that they're wearing a fox stole, but just before she wanders through, you see the fox stole drop off her shoulder and morphs briefly into purple smoke, into me for a second. Say hi.
So the camera now cuts from that view of the elevator door just to the other view of the same corridor, and we see two guards with assault rifles standing on either side of a heavy-looking door.
On the other side of a heavy-looking door?
Yeah, just the end of the same corridor that the elevator came into.
Oh, okay, so I can see them.
You can see them, yes.
Okay,
They
cool.
can't see you at the moment.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm just going to keep that going by morphing in a lovely poof into like a chameleon. Just going to climb the walls, camouflage your way across. I'm just going to go straight over their heads to the next door.
Okay, so as you approach as David, as you see this sort of this camera switch, you see this sort of figure, this sort of chameleon-like figure just crawl across the ceiling, make their way to the door and stop. Above these two guards with their rifles by their chests, standing on the side of this heavy door, there is a metal grate above the door.
So I am just going to, quick as flash, turn into, like a lovely little milk snake. a lovely little milk snake, and just slither my way through the grate onto the other side.
Okay, the snake slithers through the grate. And then we cut to a view from one of the maintenance cams for the air ducts and see this snake just slithering through the ventilation systems till it comes to another air duct somewhere further down the complex. The view now cuts to a lab, your lab, empty. Your experiments and work just lying on the table, as yet incomplete, as we can just about make out the form of this little milk snake slithering out of the vent. What are you doing, Blair?
I am slithering out the vent, but I'm going to quickly turn into a very agile lemur. Also super fun and super cute. And I am going to jump from surface to surface, and I'm going to reach your very protected serum.
There is no one in the
going?
room. The room is heavily guarded on the outside, but the room is empty. You are free to do you're free to have done what you did.
I'm going to morph back into a jaguar for fun, and I'm going to bite my own flesh and drip my blood into your serum, and then I'm going to turn as quick as a flash back into a lemur and run back up to the vent. So
at this point, slightly more crystally blue serum are waiting in the center of your laboratory. Just a few thick, viscous drops of purple blood bloop, bloop into it, and the color darkens almost imperceptibly as the figure of the Gretamorph makes her exit. Is there anything else you want to do, or anything else that you did before you leave this lab? A stylistic flourish, whatever you like.
I'm resisting the urge to be like, turn into a dog and shit on the floor. That's but I'm not going to. I'm going to leave with just class, because that's my number one feature.
Absolutely. And the camera lingers ever so slightly now on the experiment in the center of the table. And then the feed cuts off. The Supertron blinks back on, and you find yourself looking at the form of two of the dull green chrome ring droids who have this kind of sort of curved shape, as they always do on their chassis. And they're standing on either side of a test tube, suspended in a kind of stasis device, a test tube full of a viscous purple liquid. And the ring droid's voices say very clearly and very firmly, defeat the Gretamorph, and her blood is yours. Lose, and you die. Making her way to the stage, hailing from Thunderberg, Sweden, the Gretamorph.
I'm just going to enter as a flamingo because I'm feeling camp, and I just want to wander down just like and then, just because I know the crowd love a gimmick and I know they love something fun, I'm going to turn into a platypus because they're lols. And I'm going to just waddle my way into the lovely little thing, and I'm just going to just morph back into myself very casually. I'm very happy about what's happening.
David Danner, you are now standing in the ring opposite the Gretamorph, a broad grin spread across her purple lips.
You ruined my experiments.
Well, technically, you ruined my plan, dear.
What do you mean?
You weren't supposed to be strong enough to survive, you idiot.
Why were you trying to kill me?
You were trying to control nature. It's barbaric. Stupid. No human should have any control or any power like this.
I was trying to create something good for this world.
Humans don't understand good.
You have a power, you have a gift that you could do so much with. And yet you choose to kill people?
Only the ones that tend to fuck with the planet. The rest of them, admittedly, for food.
I was trying to save the planet. I was trying to do good.
And you're honestly telling me that you wouldn't have turned into what you are? A monster, destroying everything in your path like every human has before you?
I am not a monster. The only monster I am is the one that you created.
Oh, it was in you all along, sweet pea. Don't ever deny that.
No, it was good. I was doing good.
You need to be gone. Like the entire human race.
And with that, the bell ding, 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 dings.
I just wanted to be left alone. I don't want to be this monster anymore.
Well, you're going to have to be. And as quick as a flash, I turn into my favorite jaguar, the one with the bite mark still on its arm, from pouring the blood into the thing. I get onto my little haunches and I go for a full-on pounce. And you know it's my favorite. I want to go for claws for the eyes. Just straight in.
How are you? We're going to do a contested roll on this. How are you responding, David D?
To push her off.
Okay, so that is going to be.
Not tug her off?
That's going to be a contested power roll between a nerdy man and a panther.
Ooh, 5.
A natural 12.
Oh,
Oh, no.
So,
oh dear.
so David, you brace yourself. You brace yourself. You know, you squat your haunches, you plant your feet firm on the ground, you tense your muscles. You're ready to take this impact, and before you even know it, this blur of claws and fur leaps on you and literally claws out both your eyes in like an agonizing splotch. They just pretty much explode in their sockets, and you are left blinded, bleeding from the skull in agony on the floor as you are pinned to the ground by this merciless panther monster. What are both of you doing?
Well, I'm just surprised that was so easy, but then I forgot how fragile man was. Well, in that case, he's on the floor just cowering around. I'm just going to take a moment to really enjoy this because my ego is at play. I am a supervillain. I'm going to turn into a chicken and just be like...
Okay, make a look roll to see how much of a sick burn that is. 6. Unfortunately, although he can maybe just about make out the sound of the chicken as the blood pulses through his head, you've just blinded him, so the visual humor is kind of lost on David at this point. David, what are you doing?
I guess I'm swinging blindly.
Okay, that's going to basically be a luck roll. That is just a literal straight 2d6 luck roll to see if you manage to randomly connect with the chicken.
It'll be 6.
6. A weedy fist whiffs past your beak for a moment as you're doing that chicken cock, like just as your head chickens back, the fist goes whoosh straight past the beak, and you are left unharmed, and you just sort of see this flailing form of this blinded man rolling around.
Oh, while its fists there, quick as a flash, Puff, I'd like to turn into an alligator and just slam straight down onto that arm.
You're going to do like an alligator body slam?
No, teeth.
Ooh.
The main bit of the alligator.
Ah, famous for the bite. Okay, that is... I feel like that feels like a power roll. That does feel like a power roll. It's just straightforward physical force, biting down hard.
Well, 6.
6. Alligators, famously huge, strong, powerful creatures, so much faster on land than you'd expect, but not quite fast enough. And it's kind of like how it's hard to fight the Joker because his combat style is completely unpredictable. He's moving around so randomly, you can't really predict where his arm is going to go. And just at the last moment, that flailing arm like whiffs out of the way, and your teeth gnash down on empty air. What are you doing, David?
I'm still sort of wildly swinging, crying blood from my eyes, or where my eyes once were.
You can make another I'm going to say you can make a power roll on this now rather than straight 2d6.
Also, that's worse.
Oh, okay. Because
-1.
the alligator is big enough and close enough for you to hit. It's a question of you'll definitely connect, but will it do anything?
It is a 7.
7. Yeah, the fist swings, and as the alligator jaws sort of snap together, you manage to get a hard clunk right on the nose. I guess a relatively sensitive spot for a gator, sending Gretamorph staggering back a little bit from this unexpected bit of pain. What are you doing, Gretamorph?
No. I'm going to turn back into me for a second, just be confounded that he would even dream to book me on the nose. So I'm going to turn into a sausage dog and just try and get under his feet and trip him up.
So I guess as the blinded David Danner gets to his feet and starts to gain some sense of control, I'll make a look roll on that for that cute dash-in move.
An unnatural 12 again.
An unnatural 12.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to make tripping someone up with the sausage dog sound spectacularly awesome, but I think it is maybe the greatest feat of physical comedy that this audience has seen in a very long time. They can almost hear the slide whistle in their heads as you whiff between his feet, and David Danner falls, boom, back onto his back again, having only just regained his balance.
It's funny because he's blind.
How's it going there, David? You're losing a lot of blood at this point, a lot of blood.
Jesus.
You're definitely feeling weaker. You're definitely finding it harder to stand, harder to think clearly, as you're being humiliated by a cornucopia of crazy creatures.
Starting to not feel like myself.
Oh, God.
And to not feel like Dana no more.
Oh, I'm doing
Starting to feel more like frenzy. Now, normally this would be something that is involuntary for Dana. Doesn't want to give in to the other guy. But being tripped up by a sausage dog, being blinded by the woman who ruins not only my experiments but my life, it means I have no choice but to become the thing that you want the most.
Yeah.
Unnatural. This is the most unnatural thing. It's time to squash you like the buck that you are. And I'm going to dive towards her with all the might and force of frenzy to wrestle her to the ground, to pummel her stupid face. Human face, easy smash.
So as your body grows and swells with the unbridled muscular power and fury of frenzy, your biceps quadrupling in size, your visage contorting into a... you
lunge. It's easy to rip.
All right, Mike Tyson.
You lunge at the Gretamorph. That is a power roll right there, frenzy.
It is 12.
Pretty 12, right?
It's an unpretty 12, but it's 12.
Okay,
He's
then
back.
you tackle that. You still a sausage dog?
I haven't. I would like to change, but at the moment I'm still a sausage.
If I haven't missed anything, you are still a sausage dog, right?
No.
So this sort of 8 foot tall monstrous mass just full on like spears this sausage dog.
Yes.
Moves into a full mount and just starts like left hook, right hook, left hook, right hook. The adorable little face of this purple sausage dog.
Oh no.
We're getting a letter from PETA.
What do you do as that first fist connects against your adorable little snout? What are you doing, Gretamorph?
I'm not surprised at all because it's exactly what a human does, batters the beautiful nature around it. I am going to try and morph into a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Cool.
That is that is a look roll, Lolo. Roll on look.
8.
8.
Sorry, I have to do maths. You know it's not my strong point.
That'll do it. So a heavy fist connects with this little sausage dog's pointy snout. Boom. Another one. Boom. And on the third fist, the snout seems to be a bit bigger. and then a bit bigger, and those little tiny canine teeth seem to swell and grow into jagged, razor-sharp fangs. And before you know it, you're so blinded by the red mist in front of you, Frenzy, you are hanging off the mouth of a colossal, giant lizard, punching away at a skull that is bigger than you are, as this thick, wet, pointed Tyrannosaurus tongue sort of laps across your body. Still lost in the rage at this point, still punching away, but hanging, like 20 feet off the ground across this colossal purple T-Rex.
So,
Barney the dinosaur.
a challenge at last. I am going to intend to grab, because I'm hanging on by the jaw, essentially to do like a Chris Jericho style code breaker, but by dragging the jaw down. So I'm going to slam it down into my knees and then just flip this dinosaur over myself.
But you're going to, like, currently hanging there, you're basically going to try and force, while still in the air, the
Pull
the
down.
head right down to ground level onto your knee.
Yes.
And then you're basically going to, okay, man, you know what? That's a fantastic move. I'm going to definitely let you roll on power to bring it to the ground, but to pull off that code breakery trick, that's going to be a work roll.
I thought it might. -3, not strong suit.
So the power roll first.
Get 7 on power.
So just about, you don't have anything. Your feet aren't connected to anything. You don't really have any purchase in order to pull the mouth down. But you are so strong. Yeah, just by the sheer strength of your biceps in midair, you managed to get the skull of this gnashing beast down to ground level and onto your knee. Now the work roll.
God,
this had better be good. It is. It is good.
No.
What are you looking at?
Sorry, I need to do maths quickly. Even with my -3, it is 7.
7, just about. So you grab onto this jaw, like you wrap your huge, meaty arms around the mouth, holding it closed, like you strain and strain. The veins on your arms bulge, like your teeth start to grind against each other, like froth and foam, like pours down your pours down. It's almost like a little bit of blood starts to come out of one of your eyes. You're using so much strength on this. Then with a huge lift, and a surprising awareness, I guess, of physics and like judo-esque technique, you lift this creature up, move its head, swing it over the top of yours as this massive frame moves its tail dangling in the air, its feet flailing, and then boom, it crashes down hard on the ground on the other side. So much so that the whole arena shakes under the weight of it. Like a couple of monocles fall out of the audience's eyes.
I would now like to grab the T-Rex by the tail, and I'm going to swing it around myself like Mario in Mario 64.
Yeah.
Gretamorph, your hand is up.
No, I'm just disagreeing with you in general. There's not really much apart from no, bad boy.
Okay, that's going to be a power roll for that swing for sure.
That will be 6 + 3 is 9.
9. So yeah, Bowser style, you grab her by the tail and just start swinging around and around. It's like a whoosh, 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 whoosh as you pick up speed, and then you let go, and like a Saurian missile, the T-Rex launches across the arena, clatters and clangs against the heavy-duty metal frame of the arena enclosure. Once again, that high voltage electricity buzzes through the body of the Gretamorph, and the electrical charge forces her to return once again to her human form. Now on the other side of the arena, the human form of the meta-human Gretamorph is standing there, facing off across the other side, the animalistic, bestial, primal fury of Frenzy. What are you doing, Gretamorph?
Just noticing that I am in my human form. I'm just going to quickly run out of the way just to kind of get some thinking for the minute. Just going to do a casual run.
I think if it's just a casual run, that's just going to be a power roll, I guess. That's athletics check.
Thanks. Just going to get away for a second. He annoys me. What's that? 6 plus... Oh, that's 10. Sorry. Maths. Fucking hell.
Yeah, it's kind of like that issue of Asterix where Vital Statistics defeats the champion by just running until he gets tired. It's going to be the reference episode, guys. And yeah, you managed to definitely keep out of the way of the big, heavy sort of swings and lumbering motion of Frenzy as he tries to catch up to you and land a punch. You're too fast, too agile. At the moment, he's just still like foaming at the mouth, still frothing at the mouth, just pure bestial rage at this point. Yeah, what are you doing?
Is he still blind?
No, his eyes, once he turned into frenzy, like the eyes basically reformed. That kind of the last little bits of viscous goop that still sat in the sockets just kind of reformed into these sort of yellowy animal globes.
Oh, okay, cool. I thought he was blind. That's absolutely fine. Can I do a thing?
Yes, you. Well, you've done your run. But yeah, we'll let you do another thing. Do another thing.
Oh,
Like, go for
cheers,
it.
thanks. That's lovely. I am going
You had two in a
to-
row, David.
I'm gonna find the fuse box of the entire arena quick as a bunny. I can see it in the corner of my eye because there's one fuse box for this entire thing. I'm going to quickly turn into an electric eel, slap it with my tail, and blow the entire thing. And the whole thing is in darkness.
So
And
you
then
want to
I
try
enter
and
back.
basically supercharge the electric charge and the voltage around the arena to plunge out the lights.
Yeah, we're all doing science in this episode.
Okay,
sure.
cool. That's a look roll. That's definitely a look roll.
Not one of you has done science.
So that is 8.
8. That's enough to do it. Yeah. You turn into an electric eel. You're able to connect your your biological charge to the electrical charge of this grid system. Overload it. There's a huge, blinding like white flash as the whole arena and the audience are lit up for a moment and almost shimmer, and then, boom, the whole arena is plunged into darkness. You have about. You both, we'll take your action next, David. You both have one action each before the emergency lighting kicks in. So, David, what are you doing?
I'm just going to let out a deafening roar with the hope to scare this person into a bit of fright, and then just start swing wildly.
Okay, make a look roll for your deafening roar.
Smack. Sorry, 1 second. Aha! It is a dirty 12.
A dirty 12.
It scares
So
the lights back on.
it plunges into darkness. You're still in your electrical eel form at this point, haven't had quite time to turn into a bat yet. And from this almost primal darkness, you hear a roar, a bestial roar, so base, so innate, so animalistic. It is maybe one of the most purest animal sounds you've ever heard in your life. Whatever is in the darkness with you right now is no man, is just pure, raging animal. What are you doing?
I'm intrigued and see and understand, but also I'm here with a mission. I know he will never think really like an animal. He'll still always have the human stuff. So I've turned into a snake, and specifically, I want to say a brown snake. And I'm just going to like sneak up on him and just bite his ankle, hopefully with effect of just poisoning him.
Okay, I would say that's sneaky, so we're gonna have a work roll on this one.
Oh, that is my gimmick, and I did a look and I changed. I'm not arguing, I'm just complaining. 4.
4's not enough. You manage to slither over, bite the ankle. Your teeth aren't
Reroll.
even able. Go for it.
I'm going to heal reroll to get what I want, which is to kill Banner.
Dana, thank
Okay.
you very much.
Okay. Okay, no, that's perfect. Go for it. Go for it.
I'm so sorry.
Puny Dana.
I'm really sorry, darling.
Go for it, man.
11.
11. Okay, so on your reroll, specifically your reroll is to get what you want, which is to kill Dana. Your fangs.
I lied. It's a 10. Sorry, I did miss math.
It's still a hard success.
I know, but I just wanted to be honest. I didn't like being the liar in the group.
No, I appreciate it. So your fangs do still manage to penetrate this nonetheless like very hardy skin of Frenzy, go deep beneath the skin, right into the vein, and start to pump this incredibly deadly poison through the body. Like your reroll, very specifically, was to kill David Dana. And as the poison spreads through the bloodstream and spreads through the body of Frenzy, his superhuman, monstrous physique is more than enough to take care of something as minor as this. But deep within, whatever kind of physical remnant is still left of the frail human David Dana starts to fade and fade and fade. far, far beneath the layers of screams and rage and unbridled fury, the tiny, tinny voice of David Danner can still be heard. And David, you know that this is serious business. You know the poison is coursing through the body. You know the poison is powerful enough to wipe out what remains of you if you continue to separate your consciousness from that of the frenzy. David Danner, as an individual, cannot survive this deadly poison. What are you going to do?
David Danner wanted to create the perfect being. He wanted to create the perfect hero, and in doing so, created a monster. Whether that was from interference or not, in some way, Gretamorph has a point. Perhaps this world is better off without the likes of David Danner interfering with nature. And so, as much as he is trying to fight and trying to control this creature that CBW has named Frenzy, the creature is just continuing to try and smash, and it cannot be controlled. And there is nothing that Danner can do about that.
So what are you doing, David?
Danner concedes.
What is the last thought Danner has before he concedes his consciousness? Is that what you're doing, conceding your consciousness to Frenzy? What is the very last thought that goes through his mind?
I'm sorry.
And that tiny, crystal clear apology rings out in the mind of Frenzy before it is drowned in a deafening torrent of rage and fury and violence. The emergency lights, the emergency generators kick on. The whole arena bursts back into light. And the audience burst back as well. You could see everything as it was before the power cut. And standing in the center of the arena now are Gretamorph in her human form and a somehow larger, somehow leaner, somehow meaner, more bestial Danner remains. Just pure fury and violence. What are you doing, David?
You killed Danner!
You didn't even like him.
So my aim now is to charge. My aim is to grab Greta. My aim is to split Greta in two.
That is going to be a power roll.
Oh, see, I knew we'd be friends.
One blow off. It will be 6 + 3, 9.
That does it, man. And so as the last remnants of Danner dissipates into the very depths of conscious oblivion, the hulking form of Frenzy lunges swiftly, smoothly, neatly, with an almost animalistic grace, so different than the blind thrashing fury we've seen before, grabs Gretamorph one by the ankle, once by the head. And what is the last thing you say, Gretamorph?
Oh, can I not turn into something?
You can do a contested roll against that power roll if you really want to.
Well, I want to turn into a gecko, so he just pulls off my tail.
Okay, so that's gonna be a look roll on your part against Danner's power roll.
7.
You are split in two. And the whole.
Oh, hang on! I've got a monster reroll. Do something inhuman.
Okay.
I've got to survive. God damn it! 7.
And again,
He tried.
And you are just pulled apart in a splatter of purple blood and viscera. And as it rains down on the raging form of Frenzy, as he bellows a bestial roar into the audience throw their monocles, their caviar, and their champagne into the air and cheer in a vicarious bestial rage of their own. Your winner, the beast, the monster, the animal, Frenzy.
Wow. Ding dong, the witch is dead. And
Ah.
I guess we've got a new witch now.
Yeah, is he going to take over my job?
We'll see. It takes a while for the ring droids, the dull chrome metal ring droids with the curved symbol on their chests, to clear the stage. But
I just want to, as some of them come to try and scurry me away, I am going to batter away a few of them.
Yeah, there's definitely some collateral damage. A few of them get smashed, for sure.
Hans Archer it.
Yeah.
The audience, you can see the audience milling around, happy to hobnob and chat in between the fights. And eventually, after a lot of cleaning, the stage is once again empty. And the announcer's voice rings out once more. Making his way to the stage, hailing from Little Glossary, New York, the Library Man.
Bookshelves are wheeled onto the stage, piled high with books. They explode outwards as the books rain down upon the audience. They're all picking them up and gathering them as a library man steps through the smashed shelves. He makes his way to the ring. He's taking the books. He's like going up to people with the books and he's stamping them, saying that you can take this out. You can have this one. You can have this one. Someone's bringing one back to give to him. He's putting some of them back on the shelves. He takes one off a little kid at the end and goes, this one's overdue, and goes to find the kid and then goes, only kidding, gives him a little tussle on the head. And the little kid's mum looks at him and it's like, oh, that's really sweet and kind of sexy. He goes, no, wait, pros before hoes, and gets into the ring.
And the well-read Adonis that is the library man stands rippling and erudite in the center of the ring, making his way to the ring, hailing from Ravensburger, Germany, the Puzzler.
From the ceiling, the Perspex puzzle box slowly lowers down, containing a slightly more erratic puzzler. You could see his eyes now, and there's something kind of slightly unhinged there, and he grabs, or he presses the microphone button in his box, whatever, and says, "Library man, you and I are going to have some crosswords. I have a wager for you, library man. You see, I'm smarter than you. I'm smarter than everyone here, and I'll prove it. I've worked out your little trick. I've cracked your little puzzle, library man. It's the glasses. That's what you use. You can't be smarter than me. They must be some sort of encyclopedia, some sort of index, some sort of device. Maybe you're being told something by a team of infinite monkeys. I'm smarter than you, and I will rob you of them. So here's the deal. You and me, we fight. If I win, I go quietly. Lock me in prison. I'll give up my life of crime, everything. But if I win, you let me wear those glasses just once, and you tell me who I am."
Now listen here, Mr. Monopoly.
God fucking damn it!
This is not a game you want to play. We could have settled this with diplomacy, but you have taken a risk. To think you can beat me in an intelligence game is ludicrous. These are the Smartium spectacles, and they cannot be removed from me by anyone. I am the only one who can remove these glasses. They were gifted to me by the Cognizance Repository Cosmic.
Cool. Boys! And I press a button on our little pad, and at the back of the arena, this huge door slabs open, and an army of henchmen enter. Let me introduce you to my puzzle pieces. Each henchman is wearing a bit of kind of battle armor, a little bit Iron Man-like, but each one is shaped in the form of a puzzle piece. And they surround you.
Ding, 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 ding.
Well, for whom the bell tolls, the match has begun. I retreat into myself for a second, if I can go first.
Absolutely. Make a look roll and do what you do best.
Okay. That is a dirty 12.
Okay. Just pausing that dirty 12 for a second. Yeah, hold that for a second. Adam, what's your first action going to be as well? We'll start this with a contested roll as usual. So what is the puzzler doing first?
He is going to signal to his army of henchmen. Get him, boys. I need those glasses.
So you can roll on look for that.
Oh, my first roll of the day.
Yeah.
That is look roll, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Smashing. That is 8.
That is 8. Okay, so as your puzzle pieces.
My puzzle pieces.
As your puzzle pieces assemble around you and swarm towards the librarian man, he retreats into himself. And librarian man, take us through what happens.
Inside the library man's mind, this astral projection shoots across the universe and arrives hurriedly at the cosmic library. Books begin to fly off the shelves in sort of as he reaches out his hands. One lands in one hand, one lands in the other one. This one is Catch as Catch Can 22, and he flicks through it and learns mastering the arts of Greco-Roman literature wrestling. On the other hand is The Graps of Wrath by John Steinbeck. The page numbers are all completely make no sense, but it's a pretty damn good read. He puts them down and he's back in his body, ready to wrestle with these guys.
Okay, so we have a swarming army of puzzle pieces and a combat expert, form of the librarian man. Adam, how do the puzzle pieces attack?
So, for starters, they are a slightly bit of a ragtag bunch. They all swarm at once as basically a group of individual wrestlers, sort of like ants swarming over a bit of cheese.
And how do you respond?
I'm going to attempt to slide out of the way and then hopefully string together some moves and take them all out.
I would say, okay, so your role was successful in giving you the ability to fight. So I guess we'll still say that your combat roll is a look roll because it is connected to the books you've read.
Okay. Well, that is a 7.
That's just enough. You are easily outnumbered by these fighting puzzle pieces. You are able to sort of hold your own and get to where you need to get to.
Okay. So I slip out from underneath one of them. I run into the ropes and I come back out the first one with the Lion, the Witch, and the Clothesline knocking him off his feet. I slide under the next one. I jump up onto the turnbuckle doing the Jane Eyre as I splash down onto the next one. Pow. I lock one. I grab one, trip one up, and I grab the legs and I figure 4 them into the 1980 figure 4 under the watchful eye of Big Brother as I'm saying, "You have been arrested for thought crime." I then hit one of them, put one on my shoulders, and I hit the Encyclopedia as I do a big F5, spinning him off into the distance.
Sock!
Your puzzle pieces lay scattered, like a child has got upset with how difficult this picture is to put together. What are you doing, puzzler?
Well then, I didn't want to have to resort to this, but it's time to put these pieces together. Beep. And then suddenly, all like you hear the kind of a thrum of magnetic machinery being turned on, pulsing. Suddenly, all the men who are only semi-conscious find themselves being dragged towards each other, and the puzzle pieces start to connect, one on top of the other, until what was an army of little thugs has now become one gigantic puzzle piece of one big thug. And the puzzle is of a lovely Victorian Christmas market. I said, well, all as one and one against all. Get him, boy!
So make a look roll to see how well that Gestalt puzzle thug holds together.
That is a look roll, was it?
Mm-hmm.
6.
6. But this this puzzle thug starts to move. First the sort of fireplace steps down on one foot, and the next foot is a little kind of curled up cat, and then one of the fist starts to swing around. And so it's marketplace. Sorry, I was thinking I've got Victorian fireplace in mind. Yeah, it's like a vegetable stall for the left foot in that case, and like a scarf stall for the right one. And then the fist has a little urchin on the end who's like running away with some apples in his bag. And the right is a rather confused-looking member of the gentry who's just stepped into the wrong part of town. But as it starts to lunge towards the librarian man, the unfortunately still not quite conscious pieces start to lose their cohesion, and the puzzle starts to rattle and shake and struggle to keep its footing. What are you doing, librarian man?
I very quickly need to pop to my library.
Okay, make a look roll.
That is an 8.
Oh, God damn it.
So across the universe, I'm there. A book appears in my hand. I have a quick read. Close it, chuck it back on the shelves, all the way back across the universe. As the lumbering beast is coming towards me, the sort of urchin fist, I've just read a book on crowd psychology, and I just whisper into its ear, you can rise up and overthrow this puzzle lad.
Okay, so I think I'm going to want that look roll to be contested with the puzzler's look roll to see how loyal his pieces are.
I created you. I could destroy you. I've got 10.
That beats mine.
Adam? How do they stand by you?
I send vicious electroshocks through all of their suits, and the shocks will continue until morale improves. I basically, I try and drown him out with pain and with suffering, and I scream, spittle getting all over my perspex box as I bang against the side of my puzzle box. Get him! Get those glasses! Do your job!
Okay, your electroshock therapy has successfulary encouraged cohesion amongst your troops, or at least it's discouraged anything other than cohesion. And they lunge towards the librarian man and you. What are you doing, librarian man?
I remember a book that I read where I read the fable of David and Goliath, and I say, time for some knowledge bombs. And I start to throw books at the head of the construct in the hopes of blinding it.
Okay, that is going to be a work roll, I think. That's aim-based. We're going to roll on your work for this one.
That is a 6.
That's a 6. So what are you aiming at exactly?
I'm aiming at the head.
Aiming at the head. Yeah, these books, their aim isn't bad. Like some of them collide with the side of the piece in the center, but as strong as you are, you're not physically strong enough to turn a hardback into a powerful enough missile to disconnect an electrostatically encouraged giant puzzle robot. What are you doing, puzzler?
I'm going to supercharge my remote controls and send one last incredibly powerful volt of energy through my puzzle pieces with the hope that it kind of pushes them that one final step to completely destroy the librarian man. Okay,
that'll be a look roll. And we're going to need, we'll have like a contested. How are you going to defend against this? No time to retreat to the library. How are you going to defend against this?
So he is going to try to crush me, I guess. I'm going to just dive out the way.
So this will be work against look. Your work, librarian man, puzzler's look.
With my +2, that is 4.
I was 3.
Wait, how am I stuck? That's a critical fail. Oh, bollocks.
Saved.
So
it's just like 1 + 1, 2 + 2 is 4.
So one last push from these insubordinate servants of yours, these disposable red shirts in multi-sided shapes. You press the button hard for that last powerful electric shock. High voltage energy courses through the body of each and every one of your loyal puzzle pieces. They scream in agony, which to you, I guess, sounds like a scream of obedience. But then the screams start to die down, and the sound of screaming is replaced by the smell of something cooking.
Oh.
And as this unpleasant odor reaches both of your nostrils, this jigsaw puzzle giant thug Victorian marketplace just collapses. Boom, 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 boom. All the pieces fall down, and everything is just basically ash. Not ash, but like burnt and charred and disfigured. And the only image that remains clear on the very top of this pile, just a little corner of one piece, a little happy golden retriever pup yipping away at nothing in particular. But your puzzle pieces are down. Librarian man, what are you doing?
I'm holding a copy of Little Fires Everywhere. I slam it shut, and I am going to try to close the distance to the perspex box.
That's
Is it suspended above the ring?
Yes, from the ceiling.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I'll try to leap up there. Maybe I'll.
You can make a work or a power roll to leap up the pile of slaughtered henchmen to get to the perspex box.
Why do my henchmen always perish?
I'll go for a power roll, which is a dirty 12.
Oh.
Dirty 12. Yeah, you bound up like a sexy gazelle, man. There's more swooning from the audience. Within no time at all, you reach the perspex box and you're clinging onto it. Puzzler, you're inside. What are you doing?
Fuck. Okay, I press a button on the side. The floor opens, and I kind of try and drop out of the puzzle box to the arena floor.
Make a power roll to see if you can power roll work to land safely on the ground.
My power is -2. My work is +1, so I'll go with that. That is 10.
You managed to land reasonably gracefully on the ground, like a cowardly cat. And you're now basically just standing amidst the remains of your guessed out puzzle. What are you doing, librarian man? Librarian man?
I am going to attempt to drop down right in front of him.
Work roll will do for that, I think.
That is, I think, only a 6. Yeah, I want to roll again. I believe that this is important. This is standing up for what I believe in, which is me looking cool.
That is actually true. That's what he believes in.
That tracks.
It's not gone well on the second one. It's a 3 on the second one.
Okay, so you drop down, but as you fall, you kind of stumble across you land on this pile of like bodies and pieces and stumble and fall, and boom, you fall flat on your back. It's really quite a comical pratfall, and to be honest, you look quite the fool. Puzzler, what you see now collapsed on the ground in front of you from the fall is after that embarrassing fall and stumble, all you can really see is a nerd in glasses who's made a fool of himself. And there starts to be a chuckle from the audience, a little bit of laughter. Not sort of appreciative laughter, but almost a tone of derision in it.
Shh! Don't laugh at him. Just because he's not athletically gifted. Just because he prides his brain over his brawn. There's nothing to laugh at. And I realize that what is a villain? What am I, if anything, without a hero? And I reach down to help him up.
Okay. Librarian man, what are you doing?
As this is happening, as he reaches out his hand, I'm kind of getting these flashbacks to things that were said to me by the librarian in the Cosmic Library. You see, but you do not observe rings in my head. People are very much alike, really. The truth shall set you free. So as he pulls me up to my feet, I tell him to back off for a second, and I take the glasses off, and the facade begins to drain away. The cape that's made of cardigan falls from my shoulders. You sort of, the outfit is ill-fitting, and what stands in front of you is what looks like a high school boy. And he says, if you want to try them, try them. I think you might get more out of them than I am.
I take the glasses. I say, thank you. I've lived most of my life, what I can remember of it, like a puzzle. Scattered. Pieces all over the place. I thought I was looking for a hero. Instead, I was just looking for someone to complete me. I take the glasses and I put them on. Oh. Well.
Well. And you see the form of the puzzler start to shift and change. Where this sort of nebbish, nerdy face is, the cheekbones become higher and more defined until a very well-bred, very handsome face replaces that of the nerdy Brian Fuddle. The frame swells and builds, the muscles grow until you find yourself looking up at a 7-foot tall man of impeccable breeding. The black and white suit the puzzler wears shifts to a dull green, and the little puzzle symbol on top of his staff turns and becomes a familiar curved symbol, which now changes and solidifies and defines into a question mark. A small row of chrome green ring droids start to emerge from outside the ramp, and the symbol on their chests also change and define to a question mark as well. Well. Who was the puzzler? Nobody? A conceptual convenience? An intellectual illusion? A trap? A better query. Who is the question collector? And now it is time for answers. He puts his hands to the frames of the glasses and adjusts them, and briefly just seems to disappear into himself as that familiar look of like eyes moving at rapid speed, a kind of a cosmic sheen glossing over the lenses. And suddenly a look of interest and confusion. He shakes, and as he shakes, a vial of something falls out of his jacket pocket. A test tube smashes against the ground, and there are a few remaining drips of heavy purple blood in it. He shakes and breathes deeply for more, and then suddenly still. Quasar. Quantum. Quentin? He now strides long, tall strides across the arena to the point where Rick Thunder and Danger Zone and Tim Quick disappear back into the past, picks up a small circular device, crushes it in his hand, and as he opens it, little electrical sparks and blobs of purple plasmid energy start to shimmer in his palm and grow wider and wider and wider and wider until a rift in space-time enters. Walking on his cane, he presses one button on the top of the question mark, and the audience shimmer and shine and then boom, disappear with an electrical sound. He presses another and you hear explosions start to come from off beneath the complex, deep into the rear, from all around the building. I have so much work to do. And the question collector steps through the hole in the space-time continuum and it closes behind him as the complex where Super Clash is built starts to explode and be destroyed. And that's all for this time on CBW. See you next time.
We hope you enjoyed this month's one-shot. Please check back in July for the next one. If you want to help us choose a setting for that one-shot, then go to patreon.com/no-rolls-barred like these legends you see scrolling at the bottom of the screen. There you can see bonus content. You can get an exclusive Patreon t-shirt. You can even help us choose where we're going next in this crazy extended no-rolls-barred universe. We will see you back here next month. Please subscribe to partsFUNknown and never forget to jam that jam.